Imagine a single technological architecture that knows you're going to get sick before you even feel a symptom.
Right.
Or, it freezes your credit card before a thief even leaves the store. And then the exact same tech formats the screenplay of your favorite TV show and rewrites your child's math curriculum on the fly.
It sounds like magic, honestly, or at least like four entirely different disciplines of computer science.
Exactly. You'd think it requires a dozen different specialized fields, but it doesn't. Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. I'm so glad you're here with us. We know you want to stay informed without getting totally overwhelmed, so we're tailoring this specifically for you.
Yeah, and today we're looking at something really fascinating. We're unpacking an AI News Digest dated April 24th, 2026.
And the goal here isn't to just read the news to you. You already know AI is doing these things in the background. We want to really look under the hood. We want to dissect how these predictive models are acting as a present-day powerhouse, reshaping four massive pillars of our lives: health, wealth, leisure, and learning.
Right, and the framework to keep in mind here, the thread tying all this together, is that we aren't looking at AI as this giant monolithic sci-fi concept. We're looking at it as a master of pattern recognition.
Pattern recognition.
Exactly. It's the exact same foundational capability deployed across fundamentally different domains.
Okay, well, let's jump straight into the medical field then. The digest notes that leading institutes are now identifying early-stage cancers and incredibly rare diseases with unprecedented accuracy using AI systems.
Yeah, the speed is staggering.
And to put it in perspective for you, if we look at traditional radiology, it's often compared to searching for a microscopic scratch on a single piece of a 10,000-piece jigsaw puzzle.
Which takes a human a long time to scan.
Exactly.
Mm.
But reading this digest, it seems like the AI isn't just looking at the puzzle faster. It's doing something, I don't know, entirely different with the data.
It really is. The machine vision models they're deploying now, they aren't just processing pixel colors or looking for an obvious dark spot on a lung scan. They actually analyze the topological grain of the image.
Topological grain. What does that mean in this context?
So it's looking at the spatial relationship between microscopic cell structures, and then it compares those multidimensional relationships against millions of historical scans in literal milliseconds.
Oh, wow. So it's seeing things we literally can't see.
Right. The model perceives dimensions of data, like these incredibly subtle geometric distortions in tissue that the human retina just didn't evolve to process.
So the AI acts as a sort of translation layer between microscopic cellular data and human comprehension. It flags the anomaly way before it manifests as a visible tumor.
Yes, and that brings up the big so what of this whole medical section.
Right, because if the AI instantly diagnoses the highly specific subtype of a disease at that early stage, it sounds to me like we completely bypass the whole trial and error phase, the let's try this broad spectrum treatment and see if it works in a month phase.
We skip it completely. And that
Yeah.
collapsed timeline is the core breakthrough the digest is highlighting here.
Because the bottleneck has always been time.
Exactly. The historical bottleneck in healthcare has always been diagnostic latency. Waiting weeks for lab results, cross-referencing medical literature, trying a baseline medication.
Just waiting to see what happens.
Right. But by removing that bottleneck, the entire medical profession shifts from a reactive posture to a proactive, highly bespoke strategy.
So it's personalized.
Incredibly personalized. Doctors immediately pivot to asking what the exact right cocktail of targeted therapies is for the specific patient's unique biological signature.
That's amazing. So the physician's role transforms completely. They spend way less time acting as an investigator hunting for clues and more time acting as a medical strategist.
The strategist is the perfect word for it. They take the instantaneous, highly specific data provided by the model and formulate a personalized attack plan.
And the digest points out that this drastically improves patient outcomes, right? Because you're hitting the disease precisely when it's most vulnerable with the exact tool required.
Yeah, it elevates the human practitioner. It's not replacing the doctor. It's feeding them optimal data so they can do their job better.
Okay, so we're effectively talking about anomaly detection, finding the microscopic pixel that doesn't belong in the biological pattern.
Exactly.
And that concept transitions seamlessly into the finance sector updates in this digest, because finding an anomaly in a tissue scan relies on the exact same mathematical principles as spotting an anomaly in a global ledger.
It's the exact same logic, spotting the invisible.
So what's happening in banking right now?
Well, the banking sector updates highlight a massive shift away from legacy security software. They're moving toward dynamic machine learning models to combat these incredibly sophisticated cyber threats.
And the scale of the data must be staggering.
Oh, it's unbelievable. We're talking about analyzing millions of concurrent global transactions in real time.
Okay, but let me unpack this for a second. Because spotting a fraudulent credit card swipe among millions happening globally every second. I mean, is this really new? Older security systems did that, didn't they? Is this just a faster version of old software? Or is the AI fundamentally doing something different?
It's fundamentally different because old security systems were incredibly rigid. They were essentially built on static if-then logic gates.
It's like if a transaction is over $5,000, flag it.
Right, or if it originates in a foreign country, block it.
Got it.
But sophisticated financial criminals mapped those rules years ago. They simply operated in the negative space of the rulebook.
Oh, I see. So they'd run a transaction for $4,999.
Exactly, from a spoofed domestic IP address. And the legacy system would blindly approve it because it technically didn't violate the hard-coded parameter.
Right. It followed the rules.
Yeah. But the machine learning models in this 2026 digest, they discard the concept of static rules entirely. They learn and adapt.
So instead of looking for a list of known bad behaviors, the system learns your specific good behaviors.
Yes. It maps out your life.
Wow. Like the time of day you normally buy coffee or the geographic cadence of your travel.
Even the velocity of how quickly you type your password on your phone, it builds this complex, high-dimensional vector space of your unique identity.
So when a fraudulent swipe happens, say someone buys a television in another country using your card number, the algorithm isn't checking a rule book.
No, it calculates the distance between that new transaction and your established behavioral cluster. And if the new data point falls too far outside your normal pattern, the system instantly severs the connection.
That's wild. So the algorithm isn't actually looking for a thief, it's looking for the absence of me.
That is a phenomenal way to frame it, yes. The model recognizes when the user interacting with the account ceases to act like you.
Right.
And furthermore, because these neural networks are constantly updating based on new data, every single time a novel type of fraud is attempted and caught anywhere in the network, the entire system learns from it.
Oh, so it's acting as a global immune system for the economy.
Exactly.
A virus attacks one isolated node, the system analyzes the attack vector, and instantly distributes the antibody, the updated pattern recognition, to every other node in the financial body.
And the digest emphasizes that this continuous adaptation doesn't just protect individual consumers in real time, it reinforces the structural integrity of the entire macro financial system.
It's a proactive shield against coordinated large-scale cyber warfare.
Precisely.
Okay, so the algorithms map the geometry of our biology to keep us healthy, and they map the geometry of our spending to build a defensive wall around our wealth.
Right.
But the digest pivots significantly here. It moves from defensive applications, protecting health and wealth, into the expressive side of human life. It dives into how these same models are analyzing entertainment.
Yeah, we're seeing streaming platforms map the geometry of our leisure time now.
I mean, the curation aspect is well established at this
Yeah.
point, right? Analyzing your viewing history, the points where you rewind.
The shows you binge versus the ones you abandon after 10 minutes. Yeah, to serve up a highly personalized feed to keep you engaged.
But the digest focuses heavily on AI as an invaluable collaborator in the actual production process. It specifically names scriptwriting assistants and complex visual effects.
Yes, from curation to creation.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, and I have to push back a bit on this scriptwriting aspect.
Go for it.
I completely understand the AI rendering fluid dynamics for a CGI tidal wave or generating the natural walking paths for a background crowd of 10,000 people. That's pure computational math.
Sure.
But inserting a language model into the scriptwriting process, that seems incredibly risky. I mean, is the AI actually pushing the boundaries of film and TV or just recycling old tropes? Because feeding decades of successful screenplays into a predictive text engine seems mathematically guaranteed to give us generic, lowest common denominator television.
I totally get that. That apprehension is really widespread whenever algorithmic generation intersects with creative fields.
It just feels like a recipe for boring TV.
But look closely at the phrasing the digest uses. It calls it an invaluable collaborator. Production studios are not using these models to invent the core narrative soul of a film. They
Okay.
aren't using them to dictate a character's emotional arc. They are leveraging the models to handle the combinatorial explosion of the mechanical writing process.
Meaning the tedious formatting.
Yeah. Or generating 50 variations of a minor scene transition so the human showrunner can pick the pacing that works best.
Ah, I see.
Think about blank page syndrome. It's a massive bottleneck in creative production. A human writer might have a brilliant subversive concept for a pilot, but they get bogged down structuring a 60-page script.
Right, maintaining perfect industry formatting or synthesizing historical research for background dialogue.
Exactly. The AI instantly generates those structural frameworks.
So it acts as an infinitely patient sounding board. The human writer can feed a rough scene into the model and say, hey, adjust the tone to be slightly more cynical, or check if the pacing drags in the second act.
Right. The AI does the heavy computational lifting of the language mechanic.
Okay, that makes sense. And on the visual effects side, the synergy is probably even more pronounced.
Oh, definitely. Rendering realistic lighting or complex physics used to require armies of human animators performing months of tedious frame-by-frame
I
labor.
can't even imagine.
Now, machine learning models that understand the latent space of natural physics can generate those environmental interactions almost instantly.
So by removing the mechanical drudgery of both writing and animating, the human creators are actually freed up.
Completely.
If a director doesn't have to spend $1 million in 3 months rendering a single crowd scene, they can redirect that budget and that creative energy into pushing the boundaries of the story.
The AI handles the predictable patterns, so the human artist has the bandwidth to be unpredictable.
I love that. The AI handles the predictable so humans can be unpredictable.
The result is this democratization of high-budget production values. It's a potential renaissance in storytelling. The tool doesn't replace the artist. It elevates the viewer experience by giving creators a vastly more powerful, frictionless medium to execute their vision.
Taking the friction and drudgery out of creative work maps perfectly to the final section of the digest too. Education.
Yeah, this is a big one.
We are seeing the exact same underlying mechanism utilized to take the mechanical friction out of teaching and learning.
Educational institutions are utilizing AI-driven tools to provide hyper-personalized learning experiences. The systems analyze a student's cognitive patterns in real time.
And it adapts the curriculum to cater to their individual needs to make education more accessible.
Exactly.
But wait, if an AI is constantly evaluating micro progress like measuring exactly how long a student hesitates on a specific algebraic equation.
Or tracking the exact vocabulary words they struggle to comprehend.
Right. And analyzing how their attention fluctuates depending on the time of day. If it's doing all that, then the entire concept of a standardized test or a final exam becomes completely obsolete, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The industrial model of education relied heavily on point-in-time testing, like a midterm exam, simply because a single human teacher could not physically track the daily, granular cognitive mapping of 30 different students simultaneously.
That makes sense. Tests were just blunt instruments used to gauge average comprehension.
Right, but if the software is mapping the student's brain in real time, the system already knows exactly what the student has mastered and where their friction points are.
There's no need to stop the learning process for 2 weeks of standardized testing. The assessment is woven invisibly into the daily interaction with the material.
And the curriculum itself becomes fluid. If a student grasps a historical concept quickly, the AI instantly accelerates the pacing.
It introduces more complex, nuanced material to prevent boredom.
Exactly. But if a student hits a wall with, say, fractions, the system immediately alters its delivery method.
Like shifting from numerical representations to visual, geometry-based explanations.
Yeah, it keeps adjusting until it finds the specific pathway that clicks for that individual brain.
So what does this all mean? It sounds like every single student basically gets a hyper-personalized private tutor.
They do. And the digest also notes another huge benefit. The AI automates the administrative paperwork for the educators.
Oh, wow. So every teacher gets an executive assistant too.
Yes, grading multiple choice homework, filling out compliance reports, tracking attendance metrics. It absorbs all the robotic bureaucratic tasks that historically lead to massive teacher burnout.
That's huge because the profound second-order effect here is the fundamental shift in the educator's role.
Absolutely.
If the machine handles the rote dissemination of facts, the real-time cognitive tracking, and the administrative bureaucracy, the human teacher is no longer forced to act like a lecturer broadcasting information to the middle of the bell curve.
The teacher finally becomes a mentor.
They have the mental bandwidth and the actual time in the classroom to pull a struggling student aside for a one-on-one conversation.
To read their emotional state, to inspire them, or to facilitate complex group debates.
It's ironic, isn't it? By introducing this massive, sophisticated machine intelligence into the classroom, the educational environment actually becomes vastly more human-centric.
That's the beauty of it. The technology clears the brush, allowing the educator to focus entirely on teaching and human connection.
The digest summarizes this beautifully. It states that it creates a more engaging and effective learning environment by catering to the individual while completely empowering the teacher.
It's a phenomenal reframing of how we utilize these tools.
It really is. And when we step back and look at the macro narrative of this whole April 2026 digest, the connective tissue is undeniable.
It all comes back to pattern recognition.
We are watching a single underlying architectural capability, the power to instantly ingest massive, high-dimensional data sets, map the invisible patterns within them, and dynamically adapt in real time, completely reshape our reality.
We see it identifying microscopic pathological anomalies to cure diseases before they spread.
We see it mapping the unique vector space of our daily habits to instantly sever financial attacks.
We see it absorbing the mechanical friction of script formatting and visual rendering to unleash human creativity on screen.
And we see it tracking the real-time cognitive pathways of students to abolish the industrial one-size-fits-all model of education.
It transitions these technologies from abstract, futuristic concepts into present-day infrastructural powerhouses.
They are operating quietly in the background, continuously optimizing the systems we rely on every single day.
Which leaves us with a rather profound philosophical implication.
Oh,
Yeah. If we follow the trajectory of all four of these pillars, health, wealth, leisure, and learning, we're looking at a world of ultimate personalization. If AI is successfully optimizing our medical treatments to our specific biological signatures, curating our financial security to our unique behavioral footprint, tailoring our entertainment to our exact psychological preferences, and adapting our educational curriculums to our precise cognitive styles,
where does that leave us?
are we rapidly approaching a future where no two human beings will ever experience the world in the exact same way?
Wow. A completely bespoke reality for every individual. It raises massive questions about what happens to our shared cultural touchstones when everyone is living in a perfectly optimized, hyper-tailored ecosystem built just for them.
It's a lot to think about.
It is a brilliant, slightly mind-bending concept to leave off on. We took the individual updates from today's digest and hopefully mapped out the larger pattern for you. Take that final question with you today, mull it over, and as always, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep learning.